Hi, welcome to the Great Escape Room PD session. Congratulations on figuring out the lock and getting to this part of the PD session. Before I get started on what you're going to be doing during the session, I'm just going to make sure that you know there's a couple of links. First, if you could tell when there's a link on a slide because the mouse cursor will turn into a hand. So this one is linked here. The tree is linked to already a folder that contains already made rooms that you could use for escape room or just for your classroom. So that's just some resources that you can use. So for example, if you click on Harry Potter themes, you click on here, there's already created rooms that you could use. I did not create these rooms. They have been shared on Facebook and other places like that for teachers to use for free. So other teachers created these for us. Okay, so that's one resource that you can use. Another resource that you can use, if you hover over here, this will take you to a video that actually shows you how to do conditional formatting, which I'll talk about later on in one of my clues. And then if you click on this little yellow birdie, it takes you to an already made digital breakout box template that you could use. You just have to, when you click on it, you have to make a copy like this. So if you like it, you would actually go and make a copy and save it to your drive. And I'll go over this breakout box template a little bit later. I just want to make sure that you know that there's these resources. And then at the very end of the video, there is a survey for you to take regarding the session. So that's just a couple of things that you need to know before we move forward. So the goal of this escape room, I'm going to show you in digital breakout boxes. I'm going to first show you a couple of examples I've created and then show you how to create a Google form to create your digital breakout box and then give you some helpful hints on how to create your clues. So that's the goal of the video. So first off, I'll say why I like doing digital breakout boxes or escape rooms. They're a lot easier kind of to organize because you don't have to set the locks. If you have multiple class periods, you have to reset the locks, and then sometimes the kids break the locks because they keep on messing around with them. This is actually kind of a cleaner way of doing things without having the chaos of resetting those locks. I do still like to do the actual lock breakout boxes, but this is a nice way, a different way for students to do this. Okay, so one example that I created is a Harry Potter themed escape room. So the escape room would be sort of like if you actually went to an escape room, you would create a room for the students. And also, if I go and I create this room with all my clues, I would share it on Google Classroom as a present only. So the students would not open up and see this. If I go to share, copy link, open up a new window, and I've seen different ways that you can do this, but I find this way easy. I change edit to present. You copy the link. This is what I would post in Google Classroom. The students would view it like this. So there's no other clutter. So the students would get the template like this. So you would maybe break students up into groups, or I don't know, for remote learning, how you'd organize that, but you'd give them this and it would just be like a normal escape room where they have no idea really where to start. And you can give them hints depending on your groups, how much help you need to give them. So again, I would, the first time doing this, you'd instruct the students, once they hover and something changes into a hand, then you know there's something there. So, and also I would start off with my students having like a notebook. So let's say they hover and they click on this, and then this is the first clue that they would find in the escape room, and it says write down the name of this object in your notebook, and they would write down socks. And then I always create a little home button to take them back. And then this would actually open up multiple windows, so maybe they'll get used to closing as they go. It doesn't take them back to the original one. Then they would hover around again, see the cat. they would write down unicorn and then go around and hover, and maybe they go to this one. And this one is the combo. This is the lock that they hold in their hand and they randomly just try to do the combination without using any of the clues. This is like the lock. So this also gives them a hint. It says, what is the 7-letter word? So now if they open this up, they know they're looking for a 7-letter word. And again, you're probably going to have some kid just randomly typing in 7-letter words to unlock it. Then you go back, and then so they know they're looking for, probably if you have somebody, they'll be like, okay, we're probably looking for 7 of these images. So then they're going to write down soap, and then they go back, and then they find this one, and then they write down egg, and then they go back, and then they find this one, and they write down vase, and they'll keep on going. And then what they'll do is, let's say this is the student notebook. So in the very end, they would have 7 words. Now, again, it depends on how much you want to kind of help the students, but maybe somebody would be like, well, if we're looking for a 7-letter word and we have 7 words, maybe we have to take the first letter of each word and unscramble it. And this is a Harry Potter theme. So then they would discuss this together, and then you would be, if this was in class, you know, walking around and helping them out. And then once they have it figured out, they would type in, and it says all caps. I gotta remember to follow my own rules. And then they hit next, and then they just unlocked the room, the lock to the next room. So they would be taken to this one. Okay, so that is one example of how you can do an escape room. Of course, your clues would be wrapped around your curriculum or whatever you're studying. Or maybe you could just do one that's like a welcome back, get to know the classroom rules, you know, kind of theme. So that is an escape room type of digital breakout box. And then just to kind of show you how I organize that in my folder. So usually if I'm doing these, I create one folder and I put everything there, and everything was a separate slide. Like there's not multiple slides on any of them. So this was one slide. So I linked them to different slides. So you might find a lot of, you know, different slides in your folder that you'd have to kind of organize. I name them and just to make sure that I know what's going on. So that is the escape room. And then another example is just a digital breakout box. And again, I'm just showing you a little bit of examples of what I put together to kind of give you an idea of what you can work with. So students got this during remote learning, and it was like like a Friday activity after they were supposed to do all the reading assignments and activities. They were supposed to do the breakout box. And of course, I had some students just go right for the breakout box since this was the graded section of it. And so then they were lost. So this is what they would have gotten on Friday after a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday lesson. And each clue was like clue 1 was Monday, clue 2 was Tuesday, clue 3 and clue 4. So they had 4 clues, and after solving each clue, they got another kind of clue. And then they would put all 4 of these clues together to go to the wormhole to escape back to whatever theme that I put on for it. So they would start with clue number 1, and then they would know, okay, this was from day 1's lesson. Hopefully they can go back to their notes, and they're looking to see what these 3 things have in common. So this was kind of like a GIF that was going through. Then they would click on this. I got an audio. Okay, so then that's fame. So they would get this song, and then they would click on this, and they have to tie what all 3 of these things have in common. We were doing explorers that week. So in our lesson, we talked about what motivated people to explore. So these 3 things, they were supposed to get if they click on this, it was a 9-letter word. So that's another hint that linked all 3 items together. And they had to write all in lowercase, and they should have come up with motivation. Well, it looks like I probably forgot what the word was there. But, oh, I'm motivated. Oh wait, there we go. So motivated was the word. Sorry, this was a couple, months ago. So then they would get this and they could either take a screenshot of it or they would write down the globe or the world. So that was one clue. And then they would go to each of the clues. So I'm not going to go over all of them. Also, to help them because they're at home and I'm not walking around, telling them, giving them hints. I also provided a hint for them and each hint took them to a video of me giving them a hint. So then they would go to clue number 2 and then go back to it. So that's kind of an idea of different ways that you can do a breakout box. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the Google form and how you would set up the Google form. And just a reminder, there is a template that's already created for you here. Oops, sorry, wrong one. That's already created for you here. Well, there we go. Wrong one again. Where'd my template go? Oh, my, sorry. I already forgot. This is the template. Okay, there's already a template right here for you that you can use, but I'll go through how to create one on your own. So if you, so you know how to create one on your own. So you would first, after you're doing your breakout box, the first thing that you would do is you would start off by finding out what your locks are. So that is the first thing that you would do is what is going to be your locks, the combinations. So whatever curriculum that you're doing, you would come up with the combinations first. And so that is that one, and try to think of combinations that would be easy for you to give clues to. So you have to think of combinations that would be kind of easy for you to come up with some clues. Okay, so here we go, breakout box. So obviously you would always start with the name or team name if you're breaking them up into names, make it required. And then you would go through and you would add a question. And then it would be, I also think of this as a hint. So you want to tell them, so this helps them out. So this would be, let's say, shorty. Okay, so let's say it's going to be SHORTY. So this is a 6-letter word. Okay, so then that kind of helps them, and it has to be a short answer, and then you want to require it, and you want a description. So the description can kind of be whatever you did. So using the 3 images, what is the 6-letter word? Because sometimes you always have to give them help. Then response validation is pretty much what you're going to use every time, and this is text. And it contains, and then the answer is shorty. Now, it is, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep. Oh, and also you want it, very important, they need to type it in exactly how you typed it in. It's the only fallback here. It needs to be exactly it. So you need to tell them either all caps or all lowercase. And whatever you choose to do, if you do multiple breakout boxes, I would do that every time. So you're either an all cap person or an all lowercase person. So then the students know. And then you can always give them a hint here. Like you can either give them a big hint. So let's say, what is Avon Lake's mascot? Or you can just give them a little hint. So that's pretty much giving them the answer. So then that's gonna be my 6-digit combination. And then I would add a new section. Okay, so using sections, they won't be able to see the next combination lock until they get that one right. So if you're doing an escape room and each slide has one clue in it and you're not bombarding them with multiple clues, I would say, hey, do sections because they need to solve that clue to get to the next room, and then that's the next breakout box. So that's the next combination. So then they wouldn't see it. Now, if you were doing a breakout box and the order of how they're going to solve the clues is just random, like there's no order, like they could solve clue number 3 before solving clue number 1. You don't want to use sections because you want them to be able to see all of the locks. So it depends on how you are going to set up your breakout box, if that makes sense. So if it's an escape room kind of thing and they get one clue per slide, I would just section it off so it's kind of cleaner and not as cluttered. And then if you're doing a random breakout box where clues can be solved at any randomness, don't do sections. Make it all one doc. So this one, I guess since my template that I'm sharing with you has sections, I'll create this one as a no section one. But if you were going to do sections, you would just add sections and say, congrats, you know, for solving this. And then here's the next, and then you would add the next question or the next lot. But for this, I'm going to do no sections and pretend I'm doing a breakout box where the clues would be solved in no certain order. So now the next, let's say I'm going to duplicate, and then let's say this is a breakout box to get them to know maybe your school or your classroom. So let's say I'm creating this for kids to know about me. And I'm going to say, you know what, if this is, I'm going to change if this is getting to know me. I'm going to do Sparty. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now I am going to put down, let's see, let me make this a number. So I am going to do a 4-digit number. I don't know if I would really want the kids to know, but just for this. So now this is a 4-digit lock. And so this one's not all caps or anything, but you can leave a hint for, you know, what did all the images have in common? And then this is a number, and you want it to be equal to, and then 1977. Not that I would want them to know how old I am, but when was Mrs. Walters born? So again, the best way to do these breakout boxes is you want to come up with the combinations first. And then after you have all the combinations and where you want to lead them, then you start coming up with the clues. And coming up with the clues can be a little brain draining. And then sometimes I just Google, like I Googled that Harry Potter one. I Googled Harry Potter escape room, and then that came up. So I used it. So sometimes you can kind of Google some answers, but sometimes you just got to come up with them on your own. Okay, and then, so I'm just going to do these 2 examples because it's pretty much how you would do it. You would always use short answer, and then you would stay here what the lock is, require it, and description, because you always kind of want to give them some hint, and response validation. And there's different things that you can do. You know, you can do math problems, and then they have to solve that. So that's how you would set it up. And then of course at the very end, they would submit it and you would be like, oh, congratulations. And it's timestamped too. So if you're doing any sort of like competition between the groups, you have a clear time when they have it done. So now so then just to give you some hints, so that's how you set the Google form. And to share the Google form, you can either link it to the escape room like I did, or you can have a QR code where they would scan it, anything like that. So then now what you would do is you'd come up with the clues. So I'm just going to very quickly kind of just think out loud how I would come up with clues to help. And then I would probably, and the clues don't have to be digital. If you're doing this in class, you can have like clues out where the kids would touch it and move it around and manipulate it. But if you're, you know, they're doing these things at home, then all the clues probably are on Google Slides, how I did that one. So it's not like you have to have the clues digital in the classroom. You could completely put them out, put them in baggies, and have them work together like that. But for this case, let's just, you know, say I'm digital remote learning. So I want them to guess Sparty. So my biggest go-to is always, what do these 3 images have in common? It's like one of the easiest ones. And then, so it's what do these 3 things have in common? And so I would open up a Google slide. And again, I would have a different slide for every clue. So every clue would be a different slide. So again, I would open up a folder. I would name it whatever I need to name it so I can find it easy. And then, so I'd keep it nice and organized. And then everything will go in this folder. And then I wouldn't name the slide the answer or anything like that, because I think they can see the title of the slide. So I would title it just clue number one, or you could title it 4-digit lock or whatever it is, but I'll just do clue number one. And then the easiest way for me is just to find, okay, what's 3 images that I could, do? So maybe image of um, Michigan, the state of Michigan. And I'm just going to quickly go through to find these things. So, because you could probably get the idea. I like to go transparent a lot of the times, but there is a cool tool if you really, really, really love a picture and you can't find a transparent one, go to remove.bg and it removes the background. So I'm going to do paste. And for some reason, I always just open up a new window to search for images, but you can always search through images this way. I don't know why. You just get comfortable doing one thing, and somebody's probably watching this video and be like, why doesn't she just search for it online? I mean, on the Google slide. I don't know. I just always just go to a new window. Okay, so Michigan, and then so I want them to get Sparty. So, and then I don't know, it's something. Well, let's make it really obvious here. At least it's obvious to me, but it might not be obvious to other people. Sometimes, I think, oh, this clue's really easy, and it's not. And sometimes I'm thinking, oh, this clue's really hard, and it's not. So then 3 images, and then my other image, let me do Shorty Shorman. So this is basically my thought process as I'm doing these breakout boxes. And there's probably people that can come up with better clues than I think it's fun to try to come up with them. And then there. So then, however I'm going to do this, if this was an escape room type thing, I would actually maybe link objects, because you can make it where, okay, maybe I have a Shorty Shorman statue and I link it. And then maybe I'll have a picture of Michigan and I'll link that. And then maybe I'll have like a green and white coffee mug and then I'll link that. Or, if I was designing this to be an escape room, but if I'm just designing this to be a digital breakout box, and I could put these all on one slide like this, or I can put them on multiple slides, however I want to do it, or I could just put them all on one. It depends on how hard you want to make it. You kind of just make it your own. So then the kids would open this up and then they would discuss. Remember, they're getting to know me, and then probably somebody would be like, what does Shorty have to do with anything? And hopefully there's well, Shorty's a mascot, and there's green and white, and then there's Michigan. What do all these 3 things have in common? Well, somebody maybe is like, why I like Michigan State. It's probably Sparty. And then they would go to the lock and they would do Sparty. And then for maybe my year, if I wanted to get them my birthday year, I might like do things that are 1977 images, like images that would maybe, or you could do some math problems. Maybe I'll come up with some math problems where they would have to solve it and get that number. But that is kind of what you would do. You'd get the clue, you get the answer that they want, and then you just form them. And then you just gotta kind of think, how do I want to present these clues? Like, not only do I do this, but it's like, how do I want them to find these clues? Do I want them all on one slide? Or do I want them on different slides and they have to like there's all these things and they don't know what images match with what, and then they're just completely lost, and then you have the students that just give up and they go into the corner and they won't do anything, and then you have some that just keep on plugging away. I mean, I don't blame the kids that give up, because if you go to the escape room with me, I am almost no help at all. So I empathize with those students. So it depends on how easy you want to make your breakout box. There is one thing that I forgot to show you. It has to do with one of my clues. Okay, one of the things I wanted to show you was how I set up my clue number 2 for this, because this is just a different way. Like I said, I always resort to the what do these 3 images have in common, and sometimes I try to do other clues and be creative, but sometimes your brain just turns to mush and you're just gonna go for something that's a little bit easier. But this was day 2 clue for the breakout box, and they were instructed to click this, which forced the kids to make a copy, and it took them to a Google Sheet. I really like using conditional formatting, and the video here, if after I show you this, if you're like, oh, I want to learn how to do this, this will show you how to do conditional formatting. It's kind of a fun way to do a different way that you can do clues. So it says, so this was, they would need to know these definitions and fit the vocab word for it. So let's say they did do their work and they know it and they hit fauna. If they have the correct answer, something will pop up. And for some reason, I don't know what's going on with this one, but it's pathogen. Maybe I'm just spelling it wrong, but it hasn't been popping up. But so I have to figure out what's going on with that one, but I don't think you needed it anyway. So this one says the exchange of flora, fauna, and it was Colombian. Oh, maybe it's pathogens. One thing is they have to get it spelled exactly right to get the thing to pop up. Ah, there we go. Pathogens. Okay, and then they would go to, this one was Colombian exchange. And as you can see, if they have the right answer, like the cells will pop up. And again, you have to spell it just right. And then this one was flora. Okay, and so then they would look at this. And again, if they did the work on Tuesday and they got all this right, they would think, okay, that's a flag. And then they would identify which country, because they learned about Spain during the Columbian Exchange. So it's not just some random thing. It fits the curriculum, the lesson that they're learning. And again, if I gave them hints, because I knew that working from home, they would get frustrated. So these hints really just gave them the answer. And then they would go here. So I just wanted to show you the conditional formatting tool, because that's a fun way to do digital breakout boxes, having them do something like that. And then it's just a different way that you can form clues. And if you like that, then you can go here, and there's a little 8-minute video that shows you how to do that. So I wanted to keep this 30 minutes, so I only have about a minute left, and it's pretty, hard to break in how to do breakout boxes. Hopefully showing you how to use the Google form and the way that I kind of form my combinations and come up with my clues helped you out a little bit on creating breakout boxes. But sometimes you just got to think of, I just have a vision of what I want the kids to do. Like it could be a baggie with printed out images, and they have to put things in timeline order. And if you've ever done an escape room, you can kind of get some ideas like that. And then I just form it around my curriculum and the lessons and hopefully pull that in. And I do about 4 breakout boxes a year, like the hands-on one with the locks. And I do maybe a couple of these digital ones. And you do get students, they do get frustrated and they kind of give up. And then you get the ones that, just hold the lock and then just try to find the answer randomly. And then you get the ones that keep on going. But if you think of yourself, you know that you probably fit into one of those categories. And I would probably be the one that would cheer them on and be able to not solve any clues. So I empathize with those students. So hopefully, don't forget to fill out your survey. And hopefully you took something away from this, or maybe you just fast forwarded it. I don't know. But hopefully we have a good year, and thanks for watching.